How Earth has happened. The Earth is thought to have formed approximately 4.5 billion years ago through a process called accretion. The early solar system was a cloud of gas and dust, and as gravity pulled this material together, it began to form clumps called planetesimals. Over time, these planetesimals collided and merged, gradually growing larger and larger. Eventually, a few large bodies formed, including the Earth, which continued to accrete material from the surrounding disk of gas and dust. As the Earth grew, it heated up due to the release of gravitational potential energy and the decay of radioactive isotopes. This caused the differentiation of the planet into layers, with the heavier elements sinking to the core and the lighter elements rising to the surface. The Earth's atmosphere was likely formed through a process called outgassing, in which volatile compounds were released from the Earth's interior and accumulated in the atmosphere. Over time, the atmosphere evolved through various processes, including the introduction of oxygen by photosynthetic organisms. The Earth's history is complex and dynamic, shaped by a variety of geological, biological, and astronomical processes. It continues to evolve and change to this day, influenced by factors such as plate tectonics, climate change, and human activity. How did creatures evolve in Earth? The process of evolution is a gradual change in the characteristics of populations of organisms over time, driven by natural selection, genetic drift, gene flow, and mutation. The first life on Earth is thought to have originated around 3.8 billion years ago, possibly through a process called abiogenesis, in which complex organic molecules arose spontaneously from simpler inorganic molecules. Over time, these early organisms evolved into more complex forms, eventually giving rise to the diversity of life we see today. Evolution occurs through the accumulation of genetic changes in populations of organisms over many generations. Some of these changes may be advantageous, allowing individuals with those traits to survive and reproduce more successfully than others. Over time, this can lead to the spread of those advantageous traits throughout the population. Natural selection, a process first described by Charles Darwin, is one of the main drivers of evolution. It occurs when individuals with certain traits are more likely to survive and reproduce than others, leading to a change in the frequency of those traits in the population over time. Other mechanisms of evolution, such as genetic drift, gene flow, and mutation, can also contribute to changes in populations over time. The history of life on Earth is marked by a series of major evolutionary events, including the origin of eukaryotic cells, the colonization of land by plants and animals, and the diversification of life during the Cambrian explosion. Today, life on Earth is characterized by an incredible diversity of organisms, adapted to a wide range of environments and lifestyles. How Earth transformed star to planet. The Earth did not transform from a star. Stars and planets are formed through different processes. Stars are formed from clouds of gas and dust called nebulae. These clouds can be triggered to collapse under their own gravity, forming a dense core that can eventually become a star. The core heats up as it collapses, eventually reaching temperatures and pressures high enough to initiate nuclear fusion, which powers the star's energy output. Planets, on the other hand, are formed through a process called accretion. Planets form from the same nebulae that give rise to stars, but rather than collapsing to form a star, the material in the nebulae slowly accretes into larger and larger bodies, eventually forming planets. The accretion process occurs through a combination of gravitational attraction and collisions between planetesimals, which are small objects ranging in size from dust particles to small asteroids. As these planetesimals collide, they stick together and grow into larger bodies. Over time, these bodies continue to accrete material, eventually forming planets. The formation of planets is a complex process that can vary depending on factors such as the composition of the nebulae and the distance from the central star. The exact mechanisms of planetary formation are still an active area of research in planetary science. Evolution of species. The evolution of species refers to the process by which populations of organisms change over time, leading to the development of new species from existing ones. This process occurs through a combination of genetic variation, natural selection, genetic drift, gene flow, and mutation. Genetic variation is the raw material for evolution. Within a population, individuals have different versions of genes that control traits, such as eye color or height. These variations can arise through mutation, recombination, and other genetic processes. Natural selection is a key mechanism of evolution. It occurs when individuals with certain traits have a greater chance of survival and reproductive success than individuals without those traits. Over time, These advantageous traits become more common in the population, while less advantageous traits may become less common or disappear altogether. Other mechanisms of evolution include genetic drift, which refers to random changes in gene frequencies due to chance events, and gene flow, which is the movement of genes between populations due to migration. Over time, these mechanisms can lead to the development of new species from existing ones. This occurs when populations of organisms become genetically isolated from each other, such that they can no longer interbreed and produce viable offspring. This process can occur through a variety of means, such as geographical barriers, changes in behavior or mating preferences, or changes in chromosome number or structure. The study of the evolution of species is a central area of research in biology and has important implications for understanding the diversity of life on Earth and our place in the natural world. Evolution of animal to human stages. The evolution of animals to humans is a complex and lengthy process that occurred over millions of years. Humans belong to the group of primates, which also includes apes, monkeys, and lemurs. The evolutionary history of primates can be traced back to about 65 million years ago, when the first primates appeared in the fossil record. Over time, primates evolved and diversified into different groups, with some species becoming more adapted to living in trees, arboreal, while others became more adapted to living on the ground, terrestrial. Some primates developed traits such as opposable thumbs, forward-facing eyes, and complex social behaviors that are still present in humans today. Around 6 to 7 million years ago, the common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees diverged into two distinct lineages, with one lineage leading to modern chimpanzees and the other leading to the hominins, the group that includes all extinct and modern human species. The earliest hominins, such as Sahelanthropus chidensis and Orrorin tuganensis, lived about 6 to 7 million years ago and had a combination of ape-like and human-like features. Over time, hominins evolved various adaptations that allowed them to walk upright on two legs, a trait known as bipedalism. The evolution of hominins continued through various species, including Australopithecus, Paranthropus, and Homo, with each species evolving new features and adaptations. For example, members of the genus Homo developed larger brains and more advanced tool-making abilities. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, emerged about 300,000 years ago in Africa and gradually spread throughout the world, replacing other hominin species such as Neanderthals and Denisovans. Today, humans are the only surviving members of the hominin lineage. The evolutionary history of the human lineage is a fascinating and ongoing area of research, with new discoveries and insights emerging all the time.
Subscribe for more horrors and mysterious videos. Thanks.